Some people make Florida seem so bad. I don't want to defend it too much, but I want to shed some light on a bunch of different things. Here we go. I'm Sam, and this is the Living in Tampa channel. We make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to the whole Tampa area. We're also a team of realtors, and we'd love a chance to earn your business. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Tampa area, give us a call, text, or email. And we'd love to hop on a Zoom call, hop on a phone call, and just process your situation and see how we can best help. So call, text, or email anytime. As I said, people, the media, during hurricane season, during Shark Week, when Tiger King came out, it makes Florida, it makes Tampa look a little wild. Some of it's true. Florida is a bit wild in general. And I'm not going to pretend like I know why or even make connections about that. But I want to go into some topics that come up again and again, add a little bit of additional insight. So question number one we're going to talk about is Florida crowded? Is Tampa crowded? It depends what you think of as crowded. So Pinellas County, where the beaches are, is the most densely populated county in the state. But it's not that big of a county. It's 1 million people. Hillsborough County is way bigger. There's other counties that are bigger as well. But the Tampa area in general has been growing for quite a while, above 1% per year. Of course, as the population gets bigger and bigger, a chunk that's equal to 1% gets bigger and bigger as well. And I thought this number was pretty interesting. Actually, two numbers here. Since 2010, the Tampa area has grown by 740,000 residents. That's quite a bit. And by 2026, the population of the Tampa MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area, which is Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Pasco County, Hernando County, is estimated to be 5.3 million. So a year and a half from now, or I don't know if they do beginning of that year, end of that year, within 1.5 to 2.5 years, the total population of the area is estimated to be 5.3 million. That's some growth, that's for sure. So does it feel crowded? There's houses going in all over the place. There's apartments being built. The apartments are what is going to make it feel more crowded. Now, Florida is very particular about the impact on the wetlands, on the traffic, on those kind of things. And now maybe if you live here, you're like, they don't even care. But I've been in places where they don't care this much. They care quite a bit. When you have a big neighborhood going in, the amount of space they have to block off for green space, the amount of parks they have to have once they reach a certain number of houses, all those kind of things. Those rules are pretty favorable to the land in Florida. And yeah, in Florida, most rules are favorable to the investor as well, but they kind of find a good balance in my opinion. Okay, number two, how hot is it? Jimmy Gaffigan has a joke in one of his stand-up shows where he talks about being in Orlando in July and it feeling like the surface of the sun. But I get it, a lot of places are hot. A lot of places have humidity just like this. It's not like those are super rare, but the heat index is quite a bit higher, typically the UV index, the way the sun actually impacts you. And then it just happens for longer. It's just this hot for a long time. Now it just rained a bunch, I'm kind of standing outside. It's not too bad. It's 88 degrees out here right now. If I'm standing out here for 20 minutes though, I'm gonna start to sweat. So in a lot of places, people, especially with little kids like us, kind of hibernate in the winter. Don't go to parks, things like that as much. Here it's in the summer. The parks are pretty empty right now. The libraries really fill up. The indoor kind of children's museums, things like that fill up until kind of mid-October. Now school starts early. School starts second week of August, but it's still just super hot until middle of October. Okay, number three, hurricanes. Are there hurricanes every year? Yes and no. There's a bunch of hurricanes every year. Hurricane season is June 1st to November 30th. It's half of the year where there's just hurricane after hurricane coming across the Atlantic Ocean toward the US. Now they impact this area, sure, off and on, different ways. They pull the water out and push it back in. They bring rain, they do all these kind of things. But they don't always flood houses. Sometimes they even hit and don't flood a lot of houses. I said a lot, sometimes they only flood a few. Like when my house flooded last year, it was one of like 20 houses in that area that flooded. Hurricanes are always kind of looming, and hurricanes are a big impact on insurance. not just flood insurance, but the rest of your insurance. As I've mentioned previously, I just renewed insurance on my house, and they break down the premium being hurricane coverage and non-hurricane coverage. So the non-hurricane coverage was like $400. The hurricane coverage was like $1,700. So insurance, though, is pretty affordable on this home. I've owned other homes where it's not as affordable. Okay, and let's transition to insurance. Can you get insurance? I've had people ask me this question before, and I've heard other people say this in videos that you can't get insurance in Florida. Completely not true. We buy and sell properties every single day. You have to have insurance during that transaction if you have a mortgage. So insurance is still available. Now, it's a little bit of a disaster. With rising premiums, with rising material costs and labor costs, all these kind of things have gotten kind of crazy. A lot of companies have just left the state. Now, I think in the past 10 years, it's like 13 or 14 companies have stopped writing insurance in the state. Some of those are like, they stop writing it directly. They still write through other subsidiaries and like resellers and things like that. It's kind of a weird system that kind of needs to be reformed. I've actually talked to a lot of people about this, and a lot of people would say, hey, why is DeSantis fighting Disney so much? He should be helping us with home insurance. So, who knows? I'm not going to pretend to be an insurance expert or a legal expert. I don't really know what they'll do about it. It does need to change, though, because it's just getting more and more expensive. And Citizens being the last resort, the subsidized company, they're sometimes crazy expensive too. And then their requirements go up again and again. So, like in my previous house, I had Citizens for my homeowners and a different company for my flood insurance. But then Citizens raised the requirements you have to have with your flood insurance. So my Citizens policy went up, and then my flood insurance went up because I had to meet their new minimums. It's kind of annoying. And then the house flooded, and the claim was nowhere near the coverage I had, nowhere near their minimums. And it was like a complete loss. Like, we had to cut down drywall, we had to do all this kind of stuff, complete loss. Homes are never really complete losses. That's kind of interesting. It's not like with a car, it's like, yeah, just take it and give me the money. It doesn't work like that. And then there have been cases during the past storms, Dahlia and Ian, especially Ian, when material costs, so mid-pandemic, material costs were crazy high. So the total losses of that hurricane were higher than ever. Then that paints the insurance industry as this kind of, it kind of messed up the whole thing. That blip in housing and interest rates and material costs and all that, like the pandemic was not normal. So you can get insurance. It's not always crazy expensive. You'll definitely know before you buy a house what your insurance is going to be, at least a really good range. Okay, next, is traffic as bad as they say? Not really, not compared to a lot of places. It's pretty predictable. It's pretty standard commute traffic in the morning, in the evening. Yeah, there's sections of 275 that go through St. Pete that get really bogged down, but that's also pretty predictable too. So if you're moving from a place with bad traffic, you're probably not going to be surprised by any of this. If you're moving from a place with no traffic, you might be surprised. One thing we often encourage our clients to do when they're interested in specific homes in specific areas, like, hey, go to Google Maps and adjust the time of travel to be like when you'll regularly commute. It's going to use the traffic data during those days to estimate how long it's going to take. Compare that to off times, compare that to weekends. You can kind of see the actual impact it makes. It's typically a 30 to 40% increase in time during commute times, which are really 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and then like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, next, are there jobs in Tampa? I mean, I'm not looking for a job, but I do help a lot of people move here from across the country that have jobs. A lot of them work remote sales, remote support in some kind of way, or they travel for sales. Tampa has a very connected airport right in the middle of the city. A lot of them are that, but there's a lot of others. A lot of the others are, one client that just moved here is a mechanical engineer. He works for Siemens. A lot of others work in financial services, whether that's for JP Morgan or Fisher Investments or USAA or even Citibank, as not in financial services, but as a software engineer. They employ a lot of software engineers. Then there's a lot of government contracting as well, whether that's specifically with the base down in South Tampa, or a lot of other government contractors that are throughout St. Petersburg and all other areas. I actually have one client that works for a government contractor and that manages government contractors. And I was like, really, that exists? He's like, oh yeah, they're all over the place. I'm like, okay, I didn't know. And then a lot of our other clients as well work in the medical field, whether they are, finishing their final years to become a specialized kind of nurse, or they're in residency to become a doctor. A couple of clients like that right now too. All that to say, a lot of our clients have jobs, have careers, they move down here, they do very similar things. If you're coming down here and looking for a job afterward, if you do that anywhere, you're kind of starting from scratch. Okay. Next is, when will the housing market crash in Tampa? It's grown too much, the homes are overpriced, when's it gonna crash? I don't think it's going to. Of course, I buy and sell homes. I would never think it's going to. It would actually help me though if it did. I'd be buying more rental properties. But locals always feel like homes are overpriced, because there was a day when they lived here with their family, they thought, I'm gonna be able to buy a house here someday. It's gotten more expensive. It's also gotten way bigger. The airport's gotten more international, the theme parks have gotten bigger, the vacation destinations have become more popular. All those kind of things around it have caused prices to go up, but Tampa still sits right around the median home price for the whole country. And relative to the rest of the country, what you can get here for $600,000 to $800,000 often blows our clients away. You can often get, half an acre, big, nice house, 4 bedrooms and a pool for $800,000. Now, no matter what your budget is, we can find stuff. We have clients shopping now from $150,000 condos all the way up to $3 million homes. But also, what I like about this market right now is it's not super competitive. Both our buyers and sellers are compromising on price. They're going below their asking price. Yeah, some people are still wanting to ask for pretty ambitious list prices, but that doesn't mean that they sell for that. And when we're going in with clients, we're rarely offering the listing price unless it's a competitive situation. There's occasionally competitive situations, but overall the market is not competitive. But I would throw this question out to you and answer down in the comments. If prices go down, do you think it will get competitive again? All right, a couple more things here. Are there retirees everywhere? Yes and no. Kind of depends what you're doing, what time of year, what time of day. I was having lunch with a client the other day, Wednesday at noon, at a cool little marina restaurant on the water, and it was filled with retirees. He looked around, he's like, what's the average age around here? I'm like, it's actually mostly families in this town, but it's Wednesday at noon, and there's not gonna be families here right now. But also, it makes sense that people want to retire here. It does to me. It's warm, it's comfortable, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see, it's a big state. Your family wants to come visit you here, all those kind of things. Now, there's also snowbirds. Snowbirds are kind of a different thing. That would be someone, maybe they're retired, maybe they're not, that owns a property down here. They escape the snow during winter and they stay here. Their houses are often vacant during the summer, or maybe they let family use a little bit, maybe they rent it out on Airbnb, something like that. That does make an impact, but that's not as common everywhere in Florida. It's really common in specific vacation-y style areas. So impact on taxes. Retirees do pay less in property tax here just because of their age. If they claim a homestead on their property, if they claim it as their primary residence, which as a snowbird or as a majority of the year home, they can claim that. They're also living here less, so they pay less sales tax. They're spending less money here. Makes an impact. But let's jump into vacationers. Are there vacationers everywhere? The vacationers are here to make up for that sales tax deficit. Since we don't have state income tax, our infrastructure relies a lot on property taxes and sales tax. And yes, there are vacationers everywhere, year-round, but there are a lot more in the winter season. Then you hit, school breaks, Christmas break, spring break, there's a lot of vacationers. But also there's just little destinations kind of all over the place. So a town like Dunedin or downtown St. Petersburg is going to be very popular on the weekends, even if it's just locals kind of flocking to those areas. And if you are a local here, that can be frustrating. I'd rather have them here paying extra sales tax and getting in the way than me having to pay more property tax by not having a homestead exemption and by having to pay income tax. So it's kind of you win some, you lose some. Okay, and finally, if you move here, will you be attacked by an animal? I love that this comes up. I have so many people that send me shark clips and alligator clips and all this kind of stuff from Florida. And when it's from Tampa, it's so super funny too. The amount of fatal animal attacks in Florida, we're like number 3. It kind of goes along with size and population. Texas being number 1, and the numbers are right here. California being number 2, and Florida being number 3. So yeah, there are animals here. And then we have a lot of water around us where there's even more animals that can attack. Just be careful. Yeah, it's super sad when there's shark attacks, super sad when there's gator attacks. Typically though, if people aren't feeding gators, it's not really a problem. One of the bigger problems right now is actually all the giant snakes down in the Everglades. They do this like roundup thing where they have people, they train everybody to come catch them, and they do this like contest to see who can catch the biggest one. These are snakes that people let go. They just get huge down here. They're eating off the deer population. They're a threat to the Florida panthers, which is the state animal. They're a big threat to the ecosystem, and it's just because people let them go. And they lay eggs, and they just their population grows really fast. Invasive species and invasive plants is a big deal in Florida because everything lives pretty well, plants and animals, in this environment. So yeah, watch out for the animals. Be smart. I have friends that fish with by spear diving and like free swim, go down and swim with bull sharks and all that kind of stuff. I'm not into that. I know for a fact hammerhead sharks don't attack though. Like they get seen like over by St. Pete Beach occasionally. There's been a few great whites seen off the coast in the past couple years. Everybody remembers some of the whale sharks because they're like really pleasant to like swim with. It's not that many, but they're out there for sure. Okay, call, text, email. I'd love to hop on a call and process your situation and see how we can best help. Thanks for coming by.